Welcome into the OBR streaming network. This is a brand new edition of All Eyes on Cleveland with a jam-packed house. We've got the boys from Indy here at the Combine, boots on the ground, and my co-host, Combine Case. What's going on, Big Case Dog?
Fantastic, man. Full house. Love to see it. Ready to hear what the boots on the ground have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Noah Weiskopf from Indianapolis at the Combine. And of course, the legend Fred Greetham at the Combine as well. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing well. How are you?
We are good. Glad to have you guys here. So what's going on? What's new? What's the vibe in Indy? And did we learn anything today, Noah?
Well, they've got the second pick, right? And there's a lot of different directions they can go with it. Today we heard from Travis Hunter, who drew, I'm sure, Fred, it was probably one of the biggest, media gatherings we've ever seen at one podium. Just like dozens and dozens of people. And as soon as he walks out, everyone puts their phone up. And yeah, so whether they go Travis Hunter, whether they go quarterback that early, plenty of options, but they haven't made a decision yet. So they're still going to look at all their options. They're still going to interview with players more and more, bring some guys in for top 30s, but the quarterbacks still remain Shadur and Cam Ward. Travis Hunter's an option. Abdul Carter's an option. So, and they could even move back if they feel that they can get some assets and try to get a guy later in the first round, probably in the top 10, later in the top 10. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Fred, what's going on? What did you learn today? And any, buzz around the Browns pick that you're picking up on?
I really don't think the Browns know at this point fully what they're going to do. There's so many moving parts. To me, it predicates a lot on free agency and who's available at quarterback. They're going to tip their hand. I mean, I asked Andrew Berry when we talked to him if he's, obviously he was very aggressive going after the Deshaun Watson trade. Didn't work out. If that would prohibit him from, being as aggressive to turn over every possibility, trade, free agency. And he said it wouldn't. And he, much to what I think the national media narrative is that the Browns can't afford anything. And he said there's no cost prohibitive. I don't expect them to throw $50 million at Matthew Stafford, but he made it sound like they could if they wanted to, because of the way they do things, with this restructure, salary cap, and so forth, kicking things down the road, as Jack Duffin has said over and over and over. So I really do think everything's on the table. And and I'll say this, I don't want to dominate, but as far as if they truly believe that Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders is their guy, even if they're rated as the 15th overall player or 20th, you take the quarterback, in my opinion, because you got to get that right. And we don't know right now what they're going to do in free agency. If they can make a trade with a legitimate quarterback that you feel can be your franchise quarterback for a couple years, or a free agent, that changes where maybe you don't have to take a quarterback. You can go so many ways. I mean, I like the idea of Abdul Carter, opposite Garrett or replacing Garrett. I like the idea of what I've seen of Travis Hunter, as far as those are two premium positions that Andrew Berry has drafted a cornerback every year and a wide receiver every year, and he could get two for the price of one there. But you can't do it all.
Yeah. It's interesting about that you said there was such a good turnout for Hunter. Are people talking about one thing that we've talked about? I mean, Casey, you've talked about it. I've talked about it with Pete. Like, are people talking about how realistic it is that he plays 100 snaps in the NFL? Is he better on the offensive side? Is he better on the defensive side? I know AB kind of tipped his hand on the Browns' thoughts there.
I think it could depend on the team. Some teams see him as more of a receiver, like Andrew Berry said. Some teams may want him to play more defensive back and plug him in at receiver. I do think it's going to be harder for a team to plug him in at corner. I think that would be a tough position to put Travis, especially a rookie, in. I think it would make a lot more sense to have him as a corner and then plug him in at receiver. So maybe the Browns, if they were to go that route, just want him as a wide receiver. Maybe they just want to play him as a wide receiver, and they understand that he has elite ball skills, is what Andrew Berry told us. But he is a great player regardless. You can play him at receiver, at corner. You can try to divvy that up the best you can. But yeah, he stands a legitimate chance to be taken potentially 2 overall. Who knows, maybe even 1. I think the talk before the Abdul Carter injury thing popped up, I don't know if it's changed, but the talk was definitely that it could be possible for Abdul to be picked at number 1 with Tennessee. And they could potentially go after a free agent quarterback and have Abdul, a generational edge rusher, leaving the Browns with both quarterbacks on the board in that scenario. So, yeah, I think domino really is that number 1 pick, because if the Browns are set on wanting Abdul Carter, for example, they might not get him, even though they're not. They know there's only one team in front of them.
I'm coming to you next, Case, for your question. But Fred, as far as the injury stuff around Carter, what are they saying in Indy about, will that impact his draft stock? Will that knock him down at all? And what are your thoughts? I mean, I just showed what Jacob said. He said, about when you're talking about Travis Hunter, saying, he sounded confident he can play both ways. Well, of course, he may sound confident, but I mean, he hasn't done it yet. So, playing 100 snaps in the NFL is a lot different than playing 100 snaps at the college level, in my opinion. But thoughts on either of those, Fred, and anything on the Abdul Carter injury? I know he's not going to have surgery. Does it sound like it will impact his draft stock?
Well, each team's going to medically evaluate him. That's the main purpose of the combine, and they'll make their own decisions. But he said he's 90% right now, and he thinks in a month, or maybe he said 2 months, he would be 100%. The latest was he wasn't going to have surgery. I don't think it's something that is overly concerning. Of course, from his end, he doesn't want to have surgery, and he's still planning on running, at his pro day. I think it's the end of March. So a lot will depend on that. But, I really don't think, unless the evaluation shows something more there, I don't think that's going to dissuade somebody. It allows teams to, bluff maybe and say, we're moving away from him, and then jumping on him. I don't know. But he was pretty clear he feels he's the best player in the country and needs to be the number 1 pick. And I have a story coming out in the morning on that. Brad did one on Hunter. And, and I think those guys are in the mix, the 2 quarterbacks and these 2 guys, Hunter and that's Hunter and Carter. That's the buzz so far amongst the top 2 or 3 people. Now it'd be interesting to see tomorrow morning. Shadir Sanders, Cam Ward, and Jalen Milroe are on 3 podiums in a row. So I'm sure it will break up the crowd. When Hunter spoke today, there was Will Johnson, and I went to him, and a bunch of other corners, and I have clips from them. But Brad went to the Travis Hunter one, and it was, I did a pan, it was all the way back. But usually the quarterbacks, by and large, are the biggest crowds. But like I just said, having the top 2 side by side, it'll be a big group, but there'll probably be people going back and forth, as we will. We'll try to get as clips of as many of those quarterbacks tomorrow as we can, as well as wide receivers, running back. It's the skill day tomorrow for video and media.
Case, do you think that would it impact your decision on Carter?
I mean, obviously, you want to have your own medicals on them, but the announcement today that it wouldn't require surgery is definitely encouraging. But at the end of the day, a stress fracture in your foot, it's not a great thing. And who knows how long he had been dealing with that.
Stress reaction.
We knew about the shoulder issue, you know what I mean? But the thing that I want to touch on the Hunter thing. One of the things he said in his presser, he was asked about returning kicks, and he said, "I already have 2 jobs." So he viewed in his mind, he's already there. He's already playing both ways. So it'd be interesting to get him in a meeting and because Noah's right, teams are going to view him differently. Some teams are going to, and Andrew Berry's rationale made sense. If he views his superpowers ball skills, you get to utilize that much more as a receiver than you ever will at corner or defensive back. But it also brings up, it'll be easier to plug him in if he's a full-time defensive back as just occasional wide receiver, as opposed to the opposite. If you're a receiver, just all of a sudden you're inserted into defensive backfield every now and again, and all the communication issues that would lead to.
It's funny too. Kevin Stefanski told us that all the offensive scouts and offensive coaches want him to play receiver. All the defensive coaches want him to play corner. So that's how talented that he is.
I thought AB's logic on that made a lot of sense. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, and like I said, he calls them premium positions, and he's drafted a wide receiver every year since he's been here, none higher than the 3rd round. And he's also drafted a cornerback every year. And most of them, I think, he got Newsome in the 1st round. So, that's a 2-for-1, that could be intriguing, to have, I don't know if many people have him number 1 with Carter in the draft. Is it the composite of both positions, or is he the number 1 wide receiver in the draft and is also the number 1 cornerback in the draft? That's, that would be quite a scenario if you got the best at both positions. So, yeah, I mean, I can see it all the way around, but again, you got to solve the quarterback position, and you're not going to ever do anything until you do. So Kevin Stefanski said he was really impressed with the group of cornerbacks, and follow-up was the national media don't seem to be, it's more of the consensus, a weak class. And he said, well, who's repping that? Who's saying that? And so we'll see if it's all bluffing or what they do with that. But, I mean, I don't think there's an argument against either Carter or Hunter as being the top 2 people here.
So I don't think I would take Hunter in the top 2 personally. And here's why. Maybe he's the top receiver on my board, maybe, but probably not. Probably Tet is, and he's definitely not the top corner on my board. So at that point, if you're taking him at 2, you're taking him as a 2-way player, or else why would he be above either one? If you're going to pick the best corner on your board, it's going to be a kid from Michigan. Or if you want the best receiver on your board, maybe it's Hunter. There are different kinds of receivers, right? So it depends on which kind you want, or Tet. But usually you don't take a receiver that high at 2 in the draft, very rarely, right? So then it becomes kind of the novelty of it, right? Like it's okay. Is he actually going to play both ways a significant amount? I doubt that. He's got a small frame. Injury is going to be a concern no matter what. And I know he did it in college, but once again, doing it in the NFL is a totally different ballgame. And nobody has ever done it, really, except for Dion. And he did it sparingly on offense. Just my thoughts.
And you also risk, like, say if you do go that route and you play them both ways, but the injury thing becomes real, and then all of a sudden you have 2 holes that you have to replace, just based on that. So there's a flip side to that as well.
I mean, in my mock today, I took him, but it was at a trade down to 7.
Mhm.
I think that would make more sense. But 1 and 2, I'm not convinced. But nothing taken away from him. He's an incredible athlete. Think he can be a great wide receiver or a
Mhm.
great corner. It's just if he's not at the top of both boards, then it's hard for me to justify taking him at 2 because you can't promise me he's going to go play over 100 snaps and every in the Sunday. Nobody's done that successfully. Any pushback? You guys want to comment on that? Feel free.
I don't think that any team is going to bring him in and want him to play every down at receiver and at corner. I think
Sure.
every team, for the most part, is going to have their decision made before they draft him, before draft night. Like if he does fall in our lap, then this is our plan for him. And Travis Hunter said today, like he's open. He knows that whatever team takes him, it's their decision on how to use him. So that's just the reality of the situation. And yeah, he's not going to be playing 100 plus snaps like he did at Colorado. It's a much different game. Like you mentioned, the injury potential in that. But yeah, so he's an incredible athlete, incredible player. But you're right, maybe he could fall a little bit because teams are hesitant to take him and don't want to risk not putting him in the best possible position, and they'd rather have a Tet or a Will Johnson. So we just have to wait and see. But the buzz is certainly there with Travis Hunter and the athletic ability that he brings to any team.
Yeah. I mean, he may go there. That's just my thoughts on it.
Right.
Not that, that's just how I feel about it. Where do you guys come out on? So, I mean, the smoke here, we're hearing, as you've mentioned, Fred, about quarterback Mel Kiper saying the Browns are going quarterback. Daniel Jeremiah saying the Browns are going quarterback. Are you guys hearing the same things in Indy, Fred, that the Browns are, just talking to people that the people think the Browns will go quarterback at 2?
Yeah, I think that's a general consensus of people, that follow the team. Is like I beat it to death on the drum. Is that even going back to the Myles Garrett thing, your best player, maybe the defensive best player in the NFL on defense. But if you were to stack the 32 starting quarterbacks for the NFL, how far would you have to go down the list to get a taker for Myles Garrett straight up? I'm just saying, in a perfect world, salary, all that doesn't matter. 1 to 32, would you get the 17th best, 20th best? That's the premium of the quarterback. And I don't, they who wouldn't part ways for sure, almost all the teams, until you get down to that 30-something middle of the road veteran, and so that's why it's such a premium. If they believe Cam Ward's the guy and he's there, they take him. If they believe he's the only one in this draft that can step in, then you got to find a way to get to 1 to take him, because you're going to miss out by 1 spot if you can do it. I don't even know if Tennessee would do that, because I listen to general managers from Tennessee, New York, who's right behind them. Both of them said, we got to solve the quarterback problem. So that tells me they're going to draft a quarterback. And the Giants were talking about, even he was saying, we'll do what we have to do to make sure we can get a quarterback. So now how do they evaluate it? If the Browns have Sanders and Ward the exact same, and say Dart and Milrow about the same, then you don't take 1 at 2. But if there's a markedly different, you take the guy you believe in, because by then you'll know what you've done in free agency. But if you come out of free agency with no trades and maybe just signing the middle of the road backup guy, I'll point, you got to take a quarterback probably, because you got to have somebody, because we all know if you just had adequate quarterback play last year, you probably would have won 6, 7, 8 games. It wouldn't have got you to playoffs. But I don't think there'd be so much disgrunt, from War or Garrett and everybody else is, they let the season get away in that 1-6 start with Deshaun Watson. And we all know, if you just had adequate quarterback play, You needed one drive, like in 3 games, or you would, instead of 1-6, you've been 3-4 at the worst, or 4-3. Different season completely.
What about the guys like Daniel Jeremiah that says that, this class is so down, Fred, that, as far as quarterbacks, that he would have Shedeur Sanders as 7th last year under Michael Penix. How do you justify taking him at 2 then?
Well, if the Browns have him ranked in that and he's not justified, then you don't do it. But what are you going to do at quarterback? You're going to run out Jacoby Brissett, or bring back Jameis Winston.
Even if they draft a guy, don't you think they're starting a veteran anyways?
I would hope so. But that's why I'm saying you go all into, I don't know how good of a guy you can get, but a legitimate starting quarterback. So whoever you take, you can take time, and if it's Cam Ward, he sits the bench the whole year, or Shedeur Sanders sits the bench the whole year. I like what the Falcons did. They went all in, obviously, on Kirk Cousins. What, $180 million for a 36-year-old or something, and all that guaranteed money, and then they still drafted, Penix, because just because you get a guy, they're going to be an older end of the career guy. If there's a quarterback you can build around, then you take them, but because you got to solve the problem eventually. I'm just saying that I don't mind having 2 and hoping one's good.
That was it. When did they draft Penix though? Where was that? 16?
8.
Something like that. Was it 8?
8.
Yeah, it was 8.
He was one of the 6 in the top 12. McCarthy went after him, and Bo Nix went after him. The rankings I saw, one of them was right behind Bo Nix. So Bo Nix was taken 12th. If Ward is the 13th or 14th or 15th best player, I'd take a Bo Nix, type player, as far as. So I really don't know how they evaluate it, but to do this stuff where we trade down and you get 5 picks. The last time they were at number 2, they didn't want Carson Wentz. And until he got hurt, you could argue that year he was going to be the MVP probably on the Eagles. Now, from that point on, he kind of disappeared. But the Browns, they got 5 or 6 picks that year. Corey Coleman, Sean Coleman. I mean, they were all busts. And everybody wants to trade and get picks. But there's no guarantee. Same way with trading Garrett. You're not going to get a player like that, and it's kind of a crapshoot. And unfortunately, there's no clear-cut answer. But even if there was Joe Burrow in this draft, there's only one, and you got to have the first pick or you're not going to get him.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I push back on, and if they love him, they love him. But you at 2, you gotta really love the player. You gotta think he's a franchise-changing player. Otherwise, it's difficult for me to say, we'll just settle because he's a quarterback. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think you settle. I mean, you'd be right back here next year. The good thing about a rookie is they're not like Deshaun Watson's contract, the Cardinals realized that they messed up with Rosen, and they went back and did it the next year. So you don't want to do that, but you got to get a difference maker in this. And I only think there's 4 or 5 of them. And if you trade down, you probably won't get one. You'll get a bunch of guys.
Yeah. It depends on how you feel about the class. Really, but it's good points. I think Cam Ward is worth the 2nd pick, probably. I'm not sold on Shedeur yet. I don't know. What do you guys hear? There's so much Shedeur. I've never seen somebody like Shedeur is really like focused in on the Browns. Are you hearing this stuff there? Like he's got the hat on his backpack today. He talked about them playing the Madden stuff. It's like he's flirting with the Browns, right?
Yeah.
At 2. Do you think he's doing that on purpose? Are you hearing anything there in Indy?
I think he's probably there's a method behind everything he's doing. But I don't think that I would take that I would take it with a grain of salt. The Browns are going to do their due diligence on both quarterbacks. They do like Cam Ward. I don't think that there's any denying that, despite what Shadur has on his bag or who he's playing Madden with or any of those kinds of things. I think that it's very much in play that the Browns end up taking Cam Ward if he's there at number 2 overall, and they just let Shadur keep going, and the next team that wants him is going to take him. That's actually kind of the way I think it's going to fall. I think that if Cam Ward is there, I think they're going to take him, and I think that the Browns are going to do everything they can to get the best possible veteran to their team and figure out the rest later. I think the best case scenario for Cleveland would be trying to make something happen with a Kirk Cousins, reunite him with Kevin Stefanski, and then draft a Cam Ward. All of a sudden, your quarterback room is Kirk Cousins as your quote-unquote bridge, and when things start to fall down a little bit during the season, you can plug in Cam Ward if that happens at all, and then you still have a Dorian Thompson-Robinson as your emergency quarterback. So all of a sudden, going from a season where you really struggled to have one good quarterback, you then have a Kirk Cousins who you're giving another chance to. You have a rookie who you still believe can be your franchise guy, but you're not necessarily rushing him into anything. And we saw what Michael Penix looked like at the end of last year. He looked like he's going to be a really, really good quarterback, and they signed Kirk to that deal. So I think that is probably the most likely avenue. But Cleveland will be aggressive, trying to get a quarterback, trying to compete, especially if they're going to have Myles Garrett on that team.
Yeah, Albert Breer today echoing your sentiment on what was that, an underdog thing? That was weird. I'd never seen underdog show saying the Browns will be aggressive on multiple fronts at the quarterback position. So
they have to. They have no choice.
Yeah.
They have to, and it's just who's going to be available,
Yeah.
And that's why, I don't fault them about Deshaun Watson. They went all in thinking they were getting the 2020 Watson. They know how desperate it is to get the quarterback. So that's why I ask them, but if there's somebody not available, obviously there's not going to be, well, not obviously, but for the most part, somebody in their 20s, a top level quarterback is not going to be available unless there's something wrong. But yeah, that's what I agree. And that's kind of the idea is go overkill a little bit at quarterback. If you believe don't let getting a veteran stop you from drafting a guy if you think they're the guy. But if you don't think they're the guy, that's what I said, is if you think a Dart and all these guys are about the same, then just take, one of them, at the top of the second round or move up and take them then.
I just think it's kind of funny because the draft last year, and I know I was guilty of this, of kind of poking fun at Atlanta for signing Kirk and then turning around and drafting Penix.
Yeah.
But now we find ourselves in the exact same position.
Follow the Atlanta model.
Exactly. And but when you do not have a quarterback, you exhaust all avenues. And that's what Fred's saying. I would rather overkill and have 4 guys in camp that all have a shot to be the guy and find a guy that way, as opposed to putting all your eggs in one basket. And if that goes, then you're just right back here, same place next year with a new regime, by the way, if that goes down like that.
For sure. I think you guys are making good points. I wanted to run this last question by you guys. So when Stefanski was talking yesterday, guys, did you notice? So he was on CBD. I don't know if you saw him on CBD, but he did the same thing in his press. He was asked about how he prioritizes traits. Sure sounded like he was talking about Shador to me. They were like, how do you rank your traits? And he was like, accuracy and decision making. And he talked about that for a while. And then he was like, then he kind of fell down to arm strength was like the last thing he mentioned. Which I thought I didn't know if you guys noticed that or thought that was interesting, because you could very much make the case that he was talking about Shador, or it sounded like he was describing him more than Cam if you were talking about traits, raw traits.
Well, he did with the accuracy, and decision-making, that sounded, I didn't realize he was, had like a 74%, completion and all those things. And so that's one of the reasons that I kind of leaned to him in my last projection. But, going back to Kevin, I don't know if you heard, I asked him a question,
Yeah.
and of course I thought it was pretty good, but
Mhm.
he doesn't answer it. But I'm like, we're running your offense. You're the quarterback guy. Why don't you make the decision who you want to get, whether it's a draft pick or whatever? Maybe that is how it is, but he sure always makes it. I don't know if so he can blame others or what, but no, we like to all work together on it. Well, I understand that, but just say, pound the table. I have to have this guy, I that's what I just don't get.
I agree. I think I'm hoping it is. Actually kind of was assuming it is his call as they kind of, pivot back towards the Stefanski offense and model. We're hoping, right? I kind of figured it would be his call on who they go after and who they draft if they were going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, he just never like says, I will have a big say in this, even though it's a decision. It's always like, we've decided on this. Is that all right with you, Kevin? Oh, okay. That's kind of how he comes across with this stuff. Like, well, this is what, we're all going to work with him. Same way with Deshaun Watson, it's like, so you get the idea he didn't want him, or they said he's just agreeable to everything. And so it's like, okay. I
think that's just his personality. I think that behind the scenes he may, it may be different than that. And I know that he just doesn't like giving anything away, so it's hard to tell really what's going on there. What do you think, Noah?
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a lot of personality, but I do believe that this whole front office, their philosophy ever since coming in with Andrew and Kevin, they've always been on the same page and wanting to decide everything together. Could it be better for the Cleveland Browns to have one guy like Kevin slamming the table for someone and really pushing hard for it? Potentially. But I do think that there is some sort of truth to what he's saying. While he might not be showing much, I do think that what they're doing is all collaborative. They have meetings all day, every day, and they are trying to work to see who would be the best fit. So I do think that Andrew obviously has a big say in what they're going to do, but I think Kevin ultimately, his say and his voice will probably lead a little bit more in those meetings.
If it's an offensive question, they can have as much input as they want, but they should be turning to Kevin last and saying, what do you think? You know what I mean? This, you want this guy? You want this guy? I mean, let's talk. Let's be honest.
What's your opinion, Kevin?
It was Parcells that said it, but if I'm cooking the dinner, I want to pick out the groceries. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Makes sense.
Especially his job being on the line. Like,
yes.
Who can you make work?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Anything else? Let you guys go back to your night in Indianapolis. I'm sure there's a lot going on and a lot of hobnobbing and drinks to be had. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night. You guys are doing a terrific job getting the video out to us here at the OBR. We commend you both and thank you for your time. Appreciate you both. Boots on the ground at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. Noah Weisskopf and the legend Fred Greetham. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The boys are doing a good job. Working hard.
Yeah, I'd have been at a steakhouse. You wouldn't have been able to get me.
Yeah, I know. Good stuff. Good stuff from Fred.
Great.
Good stuff from Noah. And good to have them on the ground there. Brad's on the ground too. Stainbrook's there as well. And it takes, as they're talking about, you probably need 3 guys to cover the stuff.
All the different podiums that happen at the same time.
It's wild. I didn't
even know. And if you're
know
trying to watch drills, like while they're running the 40, these guys are doing vert. And you know what I mean? This group, so you definitely need multiple eyes there to cover it correctly.
Yeah.
I do want to say something, though, that Fred mentioned early in, is there's just so many moving parts. Even though we're sitting at 2, it feels far away because everything that could happen near the top. So for me, the first domino is Matt Stafford, because the Giants are like playing both sides. You're hearing the Giants are involved in trade talks for the first overall pick, but you're also hearing they're the biggest suitor for Matt Stafford. So if that domino falls, it'll at least eliminate one avenue. least you would think in theory it would, that if they do go after Matt Stafford, they also wouldn't do that and trade for the number 1 overall pick since they're sitting at 3.
I get it. I mean, I get wanting to take a quarterback at all costs, but got to be careful.
My mentality right now as we sit here today is Cam, Carter, or trade. That's
Same.
where I'm at number 2. Cam, Carter, or trade.
Same. I get it's tough, man. Does the Carter thing really, does it do anything to you?
Not really. I mean, look, but this is I don't know these doctors. Like, I know it came out in the X-rays, so then they were like, okay, the stress reaction, but it doesn't require surgery. And he's saying he's going to be good to go for his pro day. So does he go through his pro day? Does he look explosive? Does he look like the guy at that point? Then I can put it out of my mind. But until we get to that point where he actually suits up and goes through full speed activity, and then you have your doctor check him, which he has to do that. He does have to do the follow-up. And that would alleviate a ton of concern for me.
Speaking of concern, well, first of all, you're watching the OBR streaming network. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. If you're over on X, hop on over to youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report and hop in the chat, contribute to the show, hit like, hit subscribe, and of course, dive into the description below where there's links to the site where we're covering everything in print. Did the story from MKC on Miles bother you today at all? I mean, what did we think he was going to say?
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, would I prefer if it got taken care of? And yes, but the reality of the situation is, if he's going to stand on his business of what he said, it isn't strictly about money. He wants to be with a contender. Then I think the organization needs to make moves to show him that that's the deal, that they're trying to contend. They're all in on contending. And then you can circle back after they've done that and then make the extension, and he won't lose the face that he'd lose if he just signed the extension now when you say that, he wants to go to a contender. So, yeah, I don't think but I do think Andrew maintained the same messaging. We have no interest in trading him. He's a franchise player. He said all the right things.
I think this was a response to, like, this story feels like MKC got a call like, hey, we want to put this statement out right now, because you just heard 2 days of them saying we're not trading Miles over and over and over and over in every way you can lay it out. This felt like a response to that.
Just like his first media little tour was the response of from Cleveland to Canton. That's, what I mean? It was like, okay. And
this felt like
we won't hear Barry speak again until after the draft anyway.
Right. So this felt like, hey, everybody, because what the media does there is they all talk about, the Browns keep saying they're not going to trade Garrett, and that becomes the narrative. Mm-hmm. But if he comes out with this statement, then the narrative swings back to, he's going to get traded. It's inevitable. And I was listening to, once again, nice guy on the radio today. I've had him on the show before. Nick Wilson today talking about this Garrett stuff. People, saying that, the Browns are somehow doing him wrong. And if they don't, move on from him by X date in, by the draft, then that proves that the leadership is not up to par here. Like, what are we talking about?
If they don't fire themselves, like, that's what they'd be doing.
What are we talking about? Once again, you're ignoring the biggest part of the story.
Yep.
I can't.
And I get that from the national people, because they're not in tune. They just hear that he wants a trade request, and they all of a sudden get to make these fantastical things in their head to get him to Buffalo or wherever they're trying to move that to. But like, the reality of the situation, it would be financially crippling to trade him, and then you would not be able to compete at all this season. You would have to fold and rebuild, which essentially fires you. There's no see you training camp, buddy. That's my sentence. See you at
I
training
hope.
camp.
I just want him to stay strong. I agree. I'm with you, with all you guys here on that one. But yeah, Stafford and Tom Brady ran into each other in Montana.
Yeah, because that happens all the time in Montana. I can't tell you
Happens all the time.
how many times.
They both went to get on a ski lift, and it was like
Oh.
it was a nice meet cute. They just bumped into each other, and they were like, "Hey, Tom, Matt, what are you doing here? You want to come over to my house and hang out?" Yeah. So he wasn't hosting him.
No. Why? I mean, dude,
Tom's
can't
gonna
tell you
get
how many times
somebody
that's happened
else.
to me. Just all
Tom's
the
getting
time.
another team caught for tampering. He can't stop
He
tampering.
did it to himself too when he got to Tampa and he broke in Byron Leftwich's house.
Yeah.
Like he
Yep.
can't help himself, dude.
He can't.
He needs all the advantages. He'll deflate the balls. Whatever advantage he needs to give himself, he gives it to him. He does not hesitate.
Yeah.
He needs a jump start
It's
on Matt
crazy.
Stafford.
Yeah, I know. I agree, Jacob. Yeah, so yeah, it's just wild.
Every
so
time I go skiing, there's Matt Stafford.
There's Stafford and Brady.
Just
Yep. So bumped into Cindy Crawford at Costco yesterday. That's good.
you know,
Yeah.
what are the odds? Seems pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I never really have thought that Stafford is realistically Cleveland is realistically an outcome.
For the life of me, I can't figure out why the Rams aren't figuring a way to get this done. They're in their winning window, dude. Their defense came together so quickly that
they got to have like the third best roster in the NFL.
I'm saying, dude, why are you? I don't know, man. I would be trying to make that shit work. That's all I'm saying. 2 years. 2 years.
The summer's best rom-com. A tale about two QBs meeting on the lift. Love ensues.
Lifetime right there.
Yeah. Fumble ran into Gene Hackman.
Oh, dude, shout out to Gene Hackman, dude. What's crazy is last weekend, me and my daughter watched a bunch of movies, and one of them was Superman from 1978. And to see Gene. Now what
was that?
What's
Gene
your favorite
Hackman?
Gene Hackman? Huh?
Gene Hackman. I think of Hoosiers immediately.
Do you? Yeah.
For
me, it was Lex Luthor because that's how he was introduced to me as a kid, as being Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I think he was introduced to me in Hoosiers, but then he was like he's played a million good roles. What was he? He was really good in what was that? The submarine one with Denzel Washington, Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide, yeah.
You ever seen that one?
Yeah. I don't know if there's any Gene Hackman movies I haven't seen, to be honest with you. He's good in The French Connection.
Connection.
But I would say that his role as Little Bill in Unforgiven's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Royal Tenenbaums to me is a top-notch movie, and he reminds me so much of my stepdad, dude, in that movie. That's probably going to be the first movie I watch back now that he's passed. Is I'll go back and go back and watch.
Great actor, legendary role in Hoosiers always.
Quick and the Dead,
great. Mississippi Burning. OG Philly saying he's a great villain. Interesting. All right. Oh yeah, he's in westerns probably too. Yeah, Unforgiven. Yeah,
Unforgiven. He plays Little Bill, dude. It's a badass role.
Yeah,
and Quick and the Dead.
Yeah.
If I seem distracted, it's because linebackers are running 40s.
Yeah, I know. I saw Jacob just post something in there
even look down
about somebody running a fast time. Listen, I don't want to talk about this long because it's just not. But I got to bring it up. The report card, NFLPA report card.
Yeah, I didn't read it. I saw the overview.
Didn't read it?
I didn't read the whole report. I saw the overview of the grades and like little blurbs about
Browns
what was
30th out of 32 teams.
Yeah.
Overall. Stefanski 30 out of 32.
Yeah.
Locker room F. Now I think that's the actual locker room.
Yeah.
They said it's too small. F minus, too small, they said. Nice, but too small.
Yeah.
Man. I don't know what to make of it all. Is it just the falling out of a 3-14 season?
There's a massive part of that.
Yeah,
that to me, that's a massive part of it. It's just how bad the vibes are based on the and it's not for nothing. It wasn't like they expected good. They expected to be a great team, and to have that happen, it just deflates everything. Then you have the ugliness of the Watson stuff. There's definitely some division going on in there. You got your best player asking for a trade. Like, that's just where you're at in this cycle. The only way is to go through this. You're not going to go around this. You got to go through this. So it sucks, It's, I mean, I've never been in their locker room, so I can't speak to it. But they want better facilities, better amenities.
Yeah, I mean,
the Stefanski 30 out of 32 sucks. That's
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Are you kidding me? Anyways, the world's fastest makes a good point. If you're spending huge on all this dead cap and the Watson money, and he's spelling out $300 million for a 3-14 roster, you might want to expand the size of the locker room and make sure these guys are happy with their travel amenities. What are we?
Yeah.
We're paying for that, but we're going cheap on the snacks. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah. You got Billy Bean making them buy their own sodas in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
you can't be doing
Billy
that.
Bean making them pay for their soda.
You can't do that.
Ridiculous. Yeah, treatment of family.
They didn't score good on that last year, if you remember correctly.
Does that have to do with the Greenbrier?
No, it had to do with
I think the
people
travel
were made to
had
wait
to do with
after the game before
Greenbrier.
they could meet up with their family.
Yeah, the coaches' families were allowed in a certain area, and then, they were players' families are forced to wait out someplace else. Get it right, man. If you're gonna do it right. What are we doing here?
Yeah, go big.
How
Jimmy's
can
one
you
thing with
not?
everything else. Like, why are you falling short here?
But that's my thing, is a good organization is, I know that stuff doesn't seem like it matters, and it really doesn't. But if you're going to go all the way from the top to the bottom, make it work. You know what I mean? All the way, make it A+, classy, top notch, organization from top to bottom,
class,
all the way.
Yep.
Why are we taking shortcuts? Why are the freaking players' families upset? Find out and fix it. It should never happen 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was bad last year. That should have been a priority. Just take care of that. But now you got so many bad grades that you have a ton of work to do. And we won't be able to review this until a year from now when they release it. But man, you got to take care of that.
It's a good point. With the new stadium, you would hope this will all flip to
It is, but you can't be waiting 4 years to fix some of these issues.
You can't.
Some of these issues you got to resolve.
It's all. I get that, though. I mean, you don't want to invest $30 million into, you know what I mean?
And don't buy an NFL team.
I know, but you know what I'm saying, into a building that you're only going to use for 3 years, while that $30 million could be going into the,
Yeah. This shit hurts free agency. Free agents read this shit. They talk to players.
Sure.
So you got to fix it. You can't wait 4 years. Now you don't get me wrong. You could blow everyone away in 4 years, but until then.
Yeah. I mean, how much of this is them being whiners too?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Do you know the sample size? How many players fill this out?
I don't.
Well,
I don't know how it works.
I would like to know more about it.
I would too. But here's the thing. It can't be 79%, says Noddy. So 79% of the players, maybe. If you're on it and it's bad 1 year, it can't be that way next year.
No, that's a failure to recognize the reality of the situation.
Yeah, you hire somebody, you put together a task force, whatever it takes, and they handle the situation. And it's not a bad grade the next season.
Yeah.
If it is, somebody's getting fired and somebody else is coming in. But like, you can't be getting, C's and D's on travel and treatment of family multiple years in a row. That's
No.
absurd.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no other. They must fix it. It's a must. It's a must. You cannot be 3 years in a row.
Yeah. I know
You're gonna lose out on free agents.
Deshaun Watson is over in, whatever country, Dubai, doing TikTok dances, tearing his ACL, and we're paying him, ass loads of millions of dollars. But you guys take it easy on the peanuts on the plane. We don't want to overdo it there, right? Come on.
Yeah. You get one Pepsi.
One Pepsi. And that's $1.50.
Can I have Coke? No, you can't have Coke. You can have Pepsi.
We did Stafford Brady. So this Chubb stuff, people are making a big deal about this Chubb stuff. I saw a couple reports. It sounds to me like they're letting the market dictate his salary.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, when they announced it, Pete said something on Slack. It was like, I imagine they already have a deal on the table and they're letting him shop. I don't see it any other way either. I think that's 100% correct.
They will match whatever offer he gets offered.
Unless it's stupid, unless it's something they view out of their purview.
It's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he's getting that.
Pay him anything.
I don't see, how does he have more value outside of Cleveland? Like,
he doesn't. He's easily the most. His value is by far, it's like 3 times more valuable here than he is anyplace else because of what he does for your identity.
100%. And you've gotten so much bad shit happening. Like,
yeah, him leaving would be like, you can't. This is one you have to get right in the win column.
Yeah, unless it's ridiculous. If he does get some ridiculous offer and he ends up on the Bears, okay. But like, let's be real. What he's worth to your franchise. Can I do a small little segue here while we're talking about it?
Please do.
So I said the other day, me and my daughter were watching movies, and as we were watching movies, she was like, "What movies did you like when you were my age?" And I couldn't tell her because I watched rated R horror movies and Eddie Murphy Raw, and so I had to think of something that she could watch. So I was like, "Well, Who Framed Roger Rabbit was pretty dope when I was your age." So we put that in, and there's all kinds of like cameos and appearances. And she sat there while we watched the movie. She drew pictures. She drew Bugs Bunny, and she was like, and then she started asking me what I wanted. She drew Yosemite Sam for me because that's my speed.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Who else would me draw?" I was like, "Oh no, try draw one my favorite superhero, which is Batman." So she did, and then she said, "Daddy, I'm going to draw your other favorite hero," and didn't say a word. Here's what she came back with.
Chubb.
My
man,
9-year-old
she can draw, man.
She drew Nick.
She can
Chubb.
draw.
So I might be getting that on a shirt.
Super
that was a dad moment right there. That was a dad win.
That is. That's a killer moment, man. Good for you. Good for her.
Good for her.
Yeah. Good for you too. Impressive. Chat likes it a lot. Good story. I appreciate that. That lifted my
Well, if we're going to talk Nick Chubb, might as well do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I expect him to match any offer, and you'll be able to wear that.
I have to explain this to my daughter if they don't? We can't do this.
Yeah, we can't have any parents trying to explain to their kids what happened to Nick Chubb. Don't put that on us. Fatherhood. That's why we do this, Case Dog. Proud dad moment. Somehow get Chubb to autograph it.
He would because he's a stand-up guy.
Charlie Chuck says, my daughter's a fantastic artist as well. Awesome.
She did not get it from me. I am a Renaissance man. I do many other things. Drawing is not one.
Yeah. I'm not very good artist either. You want to do a quick peek at the mock? Because I have
Yeah,
a
man.
question about it.
Yeah.
Since and I know MC already commented on this. But I want to show it for a reason, actually, because it brings me to an important question here tonight for me
All right.
that I was thinking about a lot today as I was in my car for work and listening to a couple podcasts about this draft class and some things in general. So, the mock is my favorite mock I've done so far. So, this is the trade back, right? We're going back with the Jets. We get their first next year. If you're going back to 7, you should get that, right? 42 and 92, giving up 216 and 275 back.
So did you do?
Right.
My question is, did you do this in the moment after the first pick was already picked and they came to you, or did you have to initiate?
Yeah. So it's PFF simulator. So they show you what trades are available. The Jets were there, and then you have to make it work, right?
Who went first overall in this scenario? That's my question.
Cam Ward.
So this is for Shador then. Okay.
So yeah, so this would be the Jets coming up for Shador, and I'm trading back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And look, man, if you just think about it at base value, when we're talking about the Jets, first year of a new coach, and if they're going all in on a rookie quarterback, reasonably to expect them to have probably 6 wins or less, right? So the value of that first round pick should be top 10-ish.
You're hoping. Yeah.
Right. I think
absolutely.
he's a first year head coach. So
Yeah,
they're
you're
going to have to
going-
change the culture. If you look at what Detroit had to do that first year, when he was there, they struggled the first year. They got better as the season went along, though, in the back half. But they weren't the Detroit Lions as we know them now. They had to build to get there, and you have to tear it down basically to do it. So I would expect the same from the Jets this year.
Yeah. So here's my thought process going into this. I said, I am low key crushing hard on Will Howard of late. I've been watching some of his games, especially the playoff run. I think this dude has a lot of the tools it takes, right? And with that big body, even if the arm strength isn't what we want it to be, some technical work can improve on that if you're using the hips, the body. I mean, he's a big dude. He should be able to throw it, right? So, and the way the intangibles for me are there. It's just like the value guy in this class that I really think could be something, right? So that was my thought going in. And then I'm like, okay, but how do we make this team good right away in the meantime, right? So I don't think you can do that without trading back unless it's Cam, right? But Cam's gone, so I'm going back, getting the first next year's ammunition to come up and get a stud player or a quarterback if you need to, right? All right. So we're back. And then I'm taking in this scenario, I'm taking Travis Hunter at 7. Now I know I talked about taking him at 2 earlier, but if I'm taking him as a wide receiver at 7, primarily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense to me.
Because for me, he can be your true X, right? You got Judy in the slot moving in and out. He's like a 2/3 the time slot guy, right? But for me, Hunter can win against press man. You can have him play your X, right? And move him around too. But he's a weapon, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm coming right back at 33 and I'm getting the next best weapon I can find. Amarion Hampton. Chubb Jr. for me. This is Chubb 2.0 right here, right? Media impact, absolute stud.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah, Yeah, dude, spike the ball. I would, if you walked away and that's all you came away with in this draft, I'd be happy.
Yeah, so I've got wide receiver taken care of in this situation with Hunter and then Hampton, and then at 42, I'm taking Princely,
Man, me, Ellen.
Allen. 6'4", 264. He's 22 years old. I don't know what did you see what he ran today?
You want me to give you the stats? I recorded them because I knew we were doing this.
Yeah, let me know.
His fastest 40 is still unofficial, but it's 4.72.
Okay.
His broad was 10.6, and his vert was 38 inches. Athlete.
Love him, right? And he can move in and out, right? You think? Or is he just an edge?
I would say at the next level, at least early on in his career, I would focus on just being an edge. That 264 doesn't. I wouldn't try to put him up. Maybe some 4-eye stuff, but I wouldn't kick him any further than
that. His surgeon production at when he transferred right from Florida to his technical polish was evident throughout, especially during 3-game span where he recorded multiple sacks in each, featuring a game against Georgia, 2 solo sacks, a forced fumble. Blend of size, speed began to show more often, highlighted by 14 quarterback hurries and 13.5 tackles for loss, right?
I'm confused at how they weren't better. If you just look at that defensive
line. How were they not better? I know.
With Walter Nolan and Jared Ivey and Crazy. JJ and Princely, like that's they're all going to be drafted. Those are all draftable NFL players on the same line.
All right, so that was 42. So I'm coming back at 67. This is questionable if he'll be here. But PFF has him right here.
Yeah, you can't be
their 67th player, right around there, right? But I love him as the pick at offensive line because I think he could potentially do either.
See, that's my thoughts on Donovan Jackson is, okay, say you believe he's better off at guard long term. I'm still starting him at tackle and seeing what he can do there.
Yep.
Get him into camp, give him 2-3 weeks of just being a tackle. If you can't, you put him inside and we don't think about it for the next 8 years. That's your guy. Yep. But I think that he can. I think that his build is misleading because he's a thick boy and he's all the way through from his toes to his neck. That's a thick human being. But the way he handled his run at tackle at the end of the year, man, I would give it a shot because it's more important. And it's easy to fail inside, fail from the out to the end. You hardly ever see them graduate from guard to tackle.
I'm with you. He can do that. That's what is so enticing about him for me. Mm-hmm. Everything you just said. All right, so then I'm going Devin Neal, running back 2 already at 92. I know that seems greedy, but in this class, I want two premier guys, right? With him and Hampton, and I'm bringing back Chubb, and Jerome Ford has to beat out Neal to make the team.
Dude, Neal's tape was some of the funnest tape. I have yet to see a running back weaponize deceleration.
Him and Hampton with the change of pace. Are you kidding me?
Neal will string things out and slow down on purpose to get people to overcommit and hit back doors. It's beautiful. I don't think he has good top end speed, but he'll rip 20-yard chunk runs all day.
Yep.
Just because of his vision, dude. It was so much fun. Like I said, I've never seen a prospect weaponize deceleration like that.
Yeah. He's fun. Like him a lot. So now you got him and Hampton, and I'm making Ford try to make this team.
Yeah.
That's
the way it should be, man.
Yeah. So then I'm going Will Howard, my guy. 6'4", 240.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting to see because they have a couple of days before they weigh in and measure, but he looks every bit of it, right?
Yeah, every bit of it. Yeah. Unique ability to process the field, play with accuracy, successfully layering in passes against some of the best competition in the country during the Buckeyes' run through the football playoff. His elite size and positive intangibles, especially as a leader, make him a highly intriguing prospect. There are some questions about his arm strength, but considering his size, he should be able to improve on that with technical work. I mean, you get him using his hips more and stuff, right?
And
You'd think
utilizing
that.
that weight transfer.
Yep.
You know, I
And
mean, I'm not. Before I say it, I'm not comparing these two players, but I'm comparing this aspect of their game. Brady didn't come into the league with an elite arm.
right.
He improved his arm over the years.
And I'm not convinced that that his arm isn't better than we realize. We just haven't seen him. You have to use it that way.
Facts.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times guys are running so open, not so much in the playoff, but in other games like that he kind of can just layer it, float it in there.
No, but and you're also if you're looking at his strength is pre-snap to post-snap processing, getting through his reads, you know what I mean, and orchestrating an offense, which would all be things that the head coach has said he's into. He has no business being the type of athlete he is at that size either. I'm hoping he tests across the board. I want to see how he tests.
That ball back
I think
shoulder.
He's going to turn some heads. Who's going to be surprising?
That's a good ball right there, back shoulder. Look at him run, man.
Yeah, slide though, please.
Yeah, please slide. That's a good ball. I don't want to get a shutdown, so I'll get off of this soon. But I mean, I get the stuff like him breaking this for a touchdown. Okay, I get that, but like you hear a lot of people be like, "Oh, it's all his weapons," and this too.
Okay, well, you just drafted Travis Hunter, and you have Jerry Jeudy, two guys amazing after the catch.
Right, exactly. Cool. But I mean, I just wanted to point out like some of the throws in that you see him have to make is more so in their run. Like there doesn't matter who the wide receiver is. They're dots. You know what I mean?
And it's in the biggest moments. That's the one thing you can never measure is how a guy responds to pressure. And he's a savage. He's a competitor.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to want it, and he definitely does.
I'm waiting for this one throw. Look at this ball. Look at that ball.
Yeah, that's the best placement.
All right, I'll turn it off before they get us for it in here. But some impressive stuff there. One more. Oh, he's going to run it. That's wide open.
Yeah, which you're going to see that when you're. That's going to be the biggest difference is the window of open is at this next level compared to what he was enjoying at Ohio State.
Good ball.
That's the biggest thing.
Good ball there too. All right. Before they shut us down, they didn't shut us down, did they?
I'm still on YouTube. It hasn't been shut down yet. I'm watching it on YouTube.
All right. So that's where we're at. So yeah, so we go Howard there. So now you've got your guy and your veteran. Deion Walker is a massive human being. He's only 20
he measured
years
in
old.
at 6'6" and change and 332 pounds today.
Massive.
With 34.5-inch length arms. And he's, I'll say this, physically gargantuan.
Yeah.
The dude's pad level was Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to get some technique into this kid, but you can't coach the things that he brings to the table. So now you got to coach him and his technique. But yeah,
he's super raw, but
because he was able to win just being a physical freak.
Yeah, he's 20 years old and he's a massive human.
Yes.
So I come back 165. I'm getting Denzel Burke here. PFF has him way down on their board. Frustrating at times, but what you're asking him to do here.
I need you to play specials.
Is play specials and start to work into some man, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
So, Kobe King, linebacker, Penn State.
He's been someone I've been high on recently.
Yeah, I actually like him a lot. So I think he
His
should contribute right
ability,
away.
it's different than what we're used to with JOK. JOK makes you miss.
Yeah.
He tactically beats the blocks.
Yep.
He's very good at getting hands off him and getting in position. That's super solid pickup right there.
Yep. And then I went Malachi Moore. With the
Super surprised
Longhorn
he's
Hill
still
cut.
this low on boards, but
Yeah, he's way down on every board I see, and I don't
Same.
know why. Because when you watch him,
Keep him in. See the intensity in the eyes of Russaw.
he's legit, man. I like his film for the most part. He's got good range. Can play some man. No?
no, I'm not going to dispute anything you're saying. It's hard for me to believe he'll be available this late, but he is on the boards I'm on. He's still available too. So
I know.
he makes his way into several mocks I've done.
Ball. Cause a fumble here, but I mean, for me, you'll get penalty for that in the NFL.
Yeah.
Shooting a gun in the air. For me, I want him to play the center field. You know what I mean? Safety, right? Thornhill's gone.
You definitely need to keep gearing towards that. That's something, you know what I mean? It's something you need to have in your arsenal. Someone you need to have as a reserve. You need to keep building for that position because it's something we have yet to nail under this regime.
Here he's the deep. Oh, he was underneath. But a couple times here, he is the deep guy, and his range is crazy good. I think he could do that. He's a willing tackler too, so you can kind of use him as both. But you want him, see him drop in there, and then he turns. This is a hell of a play, right? Look at this. They're dropping him.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yep.
he doesn't
Covers the
start.
ground.
He starts up at the line of scrimmage, right? He's right here.
Turns, bails,
Right?
recognizes.
He's turn, bail, identify the ball, and get to the sideline to make this play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's good enough for me right there. You know?
Yeah, and you could tell the quarterback thought that was going to be free lunch because there's no way he's going to get over there.
And then lastly, I go Arande Gadsden, the second tight end in Syracuse.
Yep, another tight end with a NFL father.
Yeah, and he's more of a wide receiver. I mean, he's a wide receiver, right? Turned tight end.
Yeah.
So he's got to learn to block, but the pass catching stuff is there already. So, like I said, I'm looking for weapons, right? But yeah, that's the mock. So my question is, after this, right? Okay, Bill. My question is, what do you want to do with receiver on this team? They are not close to good enough right now.
No.
How do you make an impact move?
Well, they've done it every year, and I got to be honest, there were moves I didn't see coming, even though they were constantly being linked to Jerry Jeudy. I didn't think that was going to be something they pulled off. And and that's partly I had blinders on because I was focused on Brandon Ayuk. I was pumping that agenda early on, so I was hoping that was going through. But every year he trades for a receiver. I don't know why that would change.
I know who.
Nobody who's already developed does it feel like it's going to be available. You don't look at any of these, but wide receiver is a position that people move off on all the time right before those rookie contracts end because they don't want to pony up, so they're willing to do it. I've had this pipe dream for a long time, and I'm going to say the name, and you're going to be like, who cares? It doesn't sound like a move, but it sounds like something they would do. Is Treylon Burke. Feels like the Titans are about to give up on him. You're going to get him for nickels. He's done nothing of note as of yet. It's a dart throw. It's a reclamation project. I'd be into it.
Why would they trade? Why would Detroit trade Jameson Williams?
They wouldn't. Would I say
don't
no
think
to it?
they-
Hell no.
Well, I don't think they would either.
Oh.
Garrett Wilson, I don't think he's getting moved either. I know he's unhappy, but
Now there's smoke that he's about to be made top 3 or something paid in his position.
yeah. So the guy that I noticed in here that I have been thinking about, to be honest, is in the trade market. I like the Burke's idea, right?
Mhm.
He's a guy that has the tools that just hasn't had the chance to really spread his wings yet, right? But like, I'll listen to Christian Watson. They have a ton of wide receivers there. I don't know why they'd move him though.
The reason, in my mind, they would move him is just because he's injury prone. He keeps getting injured, but they still haven't had a guy take the forefront yet. You know what I mean? They haven't had that guy. In my mind, I think Reed's their best, but Wicks, they're just super talented, man. Dubs,
What about DK Metcalf?
I mean, I would be into it. I just can't see a reason why they would be, because now
Keep hearing buzz about him being on the move.
well, they got JS in, so they got their slot move the chains guy.
Yeah.
But they feel like they're finally moving off of old man the Ducks a lot. Someone in the chat.
The other guy.
Lockett. Thank you.
Lockett.
OG. They're finally he looks like he's going to be a cut candidate this year. So I don't see them doing it this year. I think if there was a time to do it, is before he re-upped.
Josh Palmer is a free agent. I don't think. Listen, I like Palmer. He doesn't move. Does he move? I mean, is he that impactful of a player?
He makes your roster.
Room.
He makes the roster here, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
And a lot of this too is we're still kind of waiting on Tillman. That concussion, because if you'd have asked me with 7 games to go in the season, right when Judy was kicking up and Tillman was killing it, you felt really good about the room and the direction it was going. But that concussion took him out of the final 6 games, so it paints a different light of what you feel about the room. It's just snapshots, So we still don't know what Tillman is.
You want him to be your ex. You want him to be like, and I think he is that. And we saw the snapshots. The thing, and you hope to get that from him, and everything's fine. But I can't go into the season banking on him being that player.
No, unfortunately, you can't.
So you have to get somebody
and
else.
Even if he was, would that prohibit you from adding another weapon? This is the NFL,
no,
man. You got to
keep
adding
weapons.
Do
it anyways. Yeah, you need to do it anyways. So, and I just don't. I don't think they believe in going free agency.
You pay through the nose.
You naturally will pay more than he's worth every time, unless it's like a cheap guy. Like
that's the reason I'm
who
on
was the one guy they
it cost you anything. It's not a lot.
Who was the one guy they signed in free agency? The burner. What's his name? He never played. He had blood clots.
Oh, Marquise Goodwin, the
Olympic
sprinter.
Goodwin was a free agent signing, but I mean that's what I'm thinking. Like tertiary free agent.
That's what I'm saying. It's so that third wave.
Yeah.
If they're going to sign a free agent, it'll be that third wave where it's cost effective, and if it doesn't work out, they don't never guarantee a ton of money to it, so it never ends up burning them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against Palmer coming in, but to me, he's not your 2 if you need him to be.
Yeah.
I don't know about Chubb. Brandon Cooks, man, and I don't know. He's just such a. He's like a what do you call him?
Mercenary.
Yes.
Up until 2 years ago, he had 1,000 yards every year,
every year
it finally came for him. Father time. He'd still be an option, but you feel better about Brandon Cooks being your 4th. I don't think you feel good about him being your 2.
Yeah, I'm with you, Charlie. They need an impact guy. I'm bringing back Elijah Moore, but probably not a lot of people are.
No, but he's still
agreement.
like not your 2, but he's a good guy.
No,
he
but
he
he's
keeps the
dirt
floor
cheap,
of your
and
room high,
yeah,
which is cool.
if
And
you
we don't know what
need
we're
him
going to
to
get out of
step
Thrash.
up,
He's
you
also
can.
a lottery ticket, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be a trade. I feel pretty confident in saying that whoever they bring in
Where's all
from
this
the
Jameson
veteran
Williams stuff
trade.
coming from?
I don't know. Can't speak on it.
Why would they ever give that guy up? He's
The
in what
contracts
years?
come and due, and he could find himself as the odd man out. Maybe be the only reasoning I could think of.
He's in what, year 3 of his rookie deal?
Yeah, and they just paid him on Raw.
I agree, MC. I can't bank on him performing as my 2.
Yeah, if he takes it, great. That's a great
Yeah.
problem to have.
Can't trade Miles, guys. Can't trade him.
Josh has been
He's-
trying to trade Miles for 2 years, though. In all fairness,
Yeah,
This
in all fairness,
this is on
but
brand for Josh.
you just can't. You can't trade him. If you trade him, it's over. There's no even point talking about who the wide receiver 2 is.
You know,
You're
we're not
trading
paying him.
off.
Can't pay
You're
him.
selling this thing for parts.
Ugh. No problem, Josh. I got you.
Bring Cooper back? Ugh, I don't think so. I'll pass on that.
Bill P, yes. I will let him sit as opposed
Yep.
to trading him. If those are my 2 options, he's sitting.
No, yeah, you actually, Bill, you have to let him sit. If you trade him, once again, if you trade him, you can't just eat it, Josh. Even after June 1st, it's debilitating.
It's 36 mil.
You will not be at you. He will get traded, Bill, and then you're trading off Ward and everybody and Delpit and everybody else is leaving then, because you're going into a rebuild. Okay, if you know the cap, then why are you suggesting that he get traded? Can't trade him.
It's
If he
financially
sits
not
out,
feasible.
if he sits out, let him sit. You have a better chance of fielding a winning team with him on your roster and sitting.
Yep. Now you could trade other players that don't cripple you, that you can maybe net something in return. You could think about trading a Greg Newsome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a
I'd
player.
like to get that 13.5 off my books. Right?
I wouldn't mind picking up Nick Martin in the 7th round.
I don't think they would take Greg Newsome from Matt Stafford, but yeah, if they would, sure.
Yeah, all day, twice on Sunday if you can get it.
Yeah, gimme. What's that? Brad suggesting Cooper wasn't that bad an idea. No, I didn't. I said I'll pass, didn't I?
He said, I don't know about that.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
No.
Newsome to Green Bay for any wide receiver.
Cool.
I mean, I would take any wide receiver from them.
If you got to pick, who would you take?
Dobbs.
Wouldn't you? Says what's
Who would you
crazy.
take?
Probably Wicks.
See, I think
Here's
Dobbs.
what's crazy though. That's what they got. They got a bunch of dudes that are like same level to me.
Yeah.
Great problem to have.
Incredible problem to have. They got
Yeah,
they got that
and
basketball.
Kraft's a dope
wide
tight end
receivers.
receiving wise, so like they straight.
Oh, okay. I was just I didn't even say it was that bad, but I just said I didn't know thank you.
He's not going
I
to
don't
sign
want.
for as cheap as you'd want him to sign.
Yeah, and I I I think he's toast.
I still think he's a good player. He got injured. He doesn't heal
Why
as
didn't
fast
they
as he
use
used to.
Why didn't they use him at all in Buffalo?
He was injured. He wasn't. But it's still the same thing to me. Is what can you count on at this age? You think he's all of a sudden just going to be healthy all the time? That ain't happening. He's going to have to play banged up all the time. It's it ain't worth the price tag.
Oh, I mean, you want to, Josh? You want me to take Tyler Warren at 7 in a next trade down? Would you rather have Tyler Warren or? I mean, you already have a pass catching elite tight end, right?
Yeah, I'll take another one, but I can't use that price tag on it. I can't use the 7 on him. I like Warren. This is a good tight end class, man. You can get another guy at 33 or 67 easily if you want to fill that. If you want to fill that tight end 2 role easily, not have to spend top 7. And Warren's, don't get me wrong, I think Warren's going to be a good pro, but I think there's a list of 5 or 6 of these tight ends that are going to be very good pros. Very good. It's a great year for a tight end.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys in this draft that I like there. Jamar Chase bag is incoming. Sounds like Jamar's about to get paid.
Yeah, Duke Tobin emphasized he was like, he said he believes that Chase is going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Yeah. And then he went on to say, but I would really, really like to have T. Higgins on my team.
Yeah.
Not the same language.
Good luck.
As opposed to saying this guy's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback. And I'd really like the other guy too. But
that math does not math.
How are they prioritizing Higgins over Hendrickson in my mind? Their defense shit the bed. I would, if I'm the Bengals, I'm choosing Hendrickson because I think you can manufacture who your next receiver is as opposed to your only defensive player worth a damn. That might be strong. Logan Wilson's all right. But
it's GM Jason Light on wide receiver Chris Godwin. They moved his void. We moved the void, so it gives us more options. I hope we can come to an agreement. Talking about he's due to be a free agent.
Are they drafting Luther Burden? That's what it feels like.
Feels like
to be the Godwin replacement.
I would take Dyami Brown in a second. That dude was freakish in the playoffs, but I think they just realized that they have a star in the making across from their other star. See, the guys that we identify, you know what? Levi Duperreau. Bryant is a beast.
Pat Bryant.
He is a beast. This is Pete's guy. Dyami Brown is a free agent? I don't think so. If he is, he's about to get paid. Oh, they can check for us. If he is, yeah, I mean, but you got to think after this season, he's going to get paid, and he's going to get paid to stay in Washington, or somebody else is going to pay him a ton of money.
Given what he was able to do with Daniels, if I'm them, I'm figuring out how to keep that guy.
And 100%.
For the growth of my quarterback.
I don't believe he's a free agent. I don't see him on this list.
Is he restricted, maybe?
Maybe. Let me check. But I don't. It seems like wasn't he just drafted just like a year or two ago? He's in like he's in his fourth year this year. I can't believe he's been in the pros for 4 years already. So what? This is not helpful.
Kobe King running the bags.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. He has been in the league for 4 years, and he was a third-round draft pick. So he's got to be a free agent, or at least restricted, right?
I
Maybe
think
he's
Jack Kaiser's
restricted.
going to be a player.
Who?
Jack Kaiser, linebacker, Notre Dame.
You like him?
Yeah. Right now, all the running backs who went in a row of like Demetrius Knight, Nick Martin. That's a super underrated one, man. If you can snag him in the 7th, I think that's a home run. He had a freakish
He is a
junior
free
year at
agent.
Oklahoma State.
He is a free agent. Look at this. Diami Brown, 25 years old. Let's see what they got his market value at.
22.
It says 1.9 million. There's no way.
Is that over the cap? Really?
No, this is Spo track.
Jack
Let
would
me
be
go to-
mad.
I'll go to over the cap.
You better face the wrath of Jack.
Bengals release defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins.
Okay. So it begins.
Jonathan Allen wants to trade.
They announced they were trying to move on from Jonathan Allen. Boy, a couple years ago we were all in on that, weren't we?
Yep. Okay.
But they drafted some dope defensive tackles. That'll happen. You'll move on eventually. Stutzman. This is a guy who kind of fell off this year. Little high hipped, waist bender. Danny Stutzman, Oklahoma linebacker, big boy.
Yeah. Yep. He's always there in my mocks. All right. This is all jacked up. Where are we at? Wide receiver.
Like Woodward's feet.
Yummy. Here he is.
He getting double digits. There's no way he's not.
He's got to be, right?
You can't put that kind of stuff on tape and be like, yeah.
Oh, he's fine. I mean, if we sign him, great, go for it. Their valuation has him at like 3 million as well. That's crazy talk, though. These are wrong. I'm telling you, he's gonna get like 10, at least. At least.
He's saying world's fastest saying he put the info in chat. Where's it at?
What? Well, what info?
World's fastest said the info for Diami Brown.
I just read it. Who put it in chat?
World's fastest. And I didn't see the Raz score yet, OG, but he too big to move that good.
Bill, listen, punish the whole team. Miles can go. I'm looking.
Well, they're pumping these Matt Stafford commercials.
I did. I believe you. World's fastest. I don't see. Over the cap says 6.2 million. Thought I read something different.
He's gonna get more than that.
Yeah, I think he's getting double
A
digits.
25-year-old receiver.
But 6.2 is more realistic. I mean, maybe you could do like a 4-year deal at like 7 or 8, but that still seems optimistic after what he showed.
That's what I'm saying. At his age, what he showed, his skill set, it's coveted.
Thanks, World's Fastest. I appreciate you, man.
9.87 RAS for my boy Ty Robinson.
Whew.
Brood squad.
All right.
This is going to be a defensive line draft, man. This is going to be fun. There's a ton of dudes.
There's a ton of guys.
I didn't know if he'd move that well, but it was fun watching him today go through the stuff. What's crazy is you got James Pierce, who like ran a 4.47, but then only like had he had a low vert compared to everyone else. Usually explosivity like that travels. Have you ever done a combine of any kind? My junior year, I got invited to a regional one, and it was me and 3 other guys I played high school ball with. We all went on to play college. It was legit. We didn't do any training. There was no specificity training whatsoever. And I went through with my dude Arthur, who was Art Adams, who played defensive line at OU. He was a tackle and a defensive end, freak athlete. Yeah. And like I'd never done a standing long jump before in my life. Like, and I was going with my dude Art. Art's 6'3" and 240 at the time. He's way bigger now, but like he did a 9.7 just right in front of me. And the thing was only 10 yards long that they tested us on. It was up at Ohio Northern. And I had to go after that, man. That was disheartening. You know what I mean? Like I was sub 7. Like I didn't like I can't do that. That drill right there was hard as hell for me. I did okay on the bench and the vert and stuff, but like the tailback at Ohio State, Derek Holmes, I don't know if you remember him. He was at Grove City. He was there. He won damn near every event. He just cleaned up on us. But it was, if I don't know how much better I would have done with training. Probably not. I'm not that explosive of a human being. But it was crazy watching some top tier guys go through that right in front of you, and then you got to go, and it's like, all right.
That's awesome, though, just to say you got to do it, man. That's cool.
I could have nightmares about doing the standing long jump after that.
All right, guys. What do you think? I think it's that time. It's time to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen.
We did it. We did the damn thing.
We did the damn thing. Appreciate you, chat. Your contributions were tremendous as always. You guys are the
Fred
best.
And Noah coming on, letting us know what's happening.
The all-time best chat in all of the land. All Eyes on Cleveland chat every time. Appreciate you all. Thanks to Noah Weiskopf on Boots on the Ground in Indianapolis and the legend Fred Greetham, Boots on the Ground in Indianapolis at the NFL Scouting Combine. Any parting words, Case Dog?
No, man, we got 56 days. You're going to hear a lot of crazy stuff. I'm focused on March 12th when we get to do the League New Year and try to knock a couple things out. Maybe bring a couple dudes into the fold. Change Miles' mind between now and June. That'd be nice. Then I don't have to talk about this for too much longer, but hold strong, man. Hold strong.
Yeah, hold strong. Like and sub, as World's Fastest said. Speedball Jones was lurking today in the background.
Oh, no.
Good to see him come out at the end. I like just seeing your name. 56 days is too many.
Agreed.
By Corhome Fitness and shit, says World's Fastest. Yeah, something to that effect. Get on over to theobr.com and appreciate all of the content that we're putting out over there because we're pumping it out. You can't just lurk. yeah. It's hard to lurk with a name like Speedball Jones. I agree, Philly. But either way, I appreciate you all being here. Hit like and subscribe on your way in or out. Tell a friend. Come watch the show. Subscribe. Get over to theobr.com. And with that, we're going to get out of here. For Combine Case, Big Case Dog, Casey Kinnamon, my name is Brad Ward. We are out.